Hello, my dear students. Welcome to Future IAS. So, guys, how are you? I'm absolutely fine, and I hope you are doing well and you are safe from this pandemic. So, my dear students, uh, as you know, we are just going to finish our Indian modern history portion. And today we are conducting our lecture 25. And in this very lecture, we will try to cover International Army and Subhas Chandra Bose. Right, guys? So here again, I am going to covering all those relevant facts and figures, including ideologies, which are injected by Subhas Chandra Bose in the Indian freedom struggle. Okay, what type of contribution was made and what exactly the Indian National Army formed by Subhas Chandra Bose in the second phase and how it contributed, to what extent it remained a victory in the freedom struggle against the British government. Right, guys? Okay, so here we are just uh, going to start. So let's begin. Let's start. If you're finding any problem, you can write. Okay, so so dear students, have a look on this major context, the major topics which we will cover in today's lecture. So if we are able to understand all these, then you are able to understand. Okay, then there is no need to study anything else. From studying this much content, you can complete your history portion and this topic as well, right? So first of all, dear students, we will try to cover the life introduction of Bose and thereafter early life and education of Bose and thereafter Subhas Bose and I Indian National Congress, right? So how the interaction was with Indian National Congress and how the Subhas Chandra Bose and Indian National Army, that is also called Azad Hind Fauj. Okay, this thing you know very well, right, guys? And thereafter we will start the background of Indian National Army. Okay, basically Indian National Army, which was organized by Subhas Chandra Bose. Actually, Subhas Chandra Bose was not the founder of Indian National Army. It was in the second phase when it was controlled and directed or led by Subhash Chandra Bose. Okay, in its initial stage, Anand Mohan was at the central contribution. So we'll try to cover and we'll try to make a better understanding about all these things. And Subhash Chandra Bose at the second INA. Okay, so that's why I have put this uh, as a topic in our series, and thereafter operations of Azad Hind Fauj, and we can also connect the operations or the contributions are the same. Okay, how they operated, it means how they contributed. So here we will try to cover the contributions which was made by Azad Hind Fauj under the leadership of Subhash Chandra Bose to the Indian freedom struggle. Is that clear to you? Okay, so here and at last here we will cover end of INA, how the Indian National Army was ended, why the life of Indian National Army was ended, what happens, what are those events basically, and what is the meaning of INA trials, Red Fort trials. Okay, so INA trials means the prisoners, means the soldiers of Indian National Army were later captured by the allies powers, means including Britain. Okay, and thereafter they were sentenced by punishment with different charges, and how their trials and what types of contribution was made from Congress in order to contest their elections in the courts. Okay, so this INA trials in Indian freedom struggle is known as Red Fort trials, Red Fort trials. Okay, in 1946. Okay, so this is a complete information. So we'll try. Let's begin. Let's start how the things have happen during this phase, and basically try to understand this chapter just after the Subhash Chandra Bose and Tripuri crisis, Haripura resolution, and the ideological differences and the formation of forward block. Okay, so just try to understand or read these two lectures simultaneously, okay, or the after, right? So in this way you are able to make a better understanding about the things, right? Basically some two or three topics I have entered so that you can take a difference, okay? So continuously if you are reading the same things, it will make you a very bored, right? So here my target is just to make you uh, happy in your class, okay? So always work, always study with a happy mood, okay? And if you will study with a bad mood, with sleepy mood, okay, that will be a totally waste, right? So always try to focus with a energetic mind, with a happy mood, with a lovely mood, okay? So just love your work, okay? So if you will read with a big lovely, with care, consider sacrifice each and everything to your study, and start thinking that this is my everything, and at this moment this is my target, okay, and this is my life, and now this is my everything, this is my surrounding, this is my everything, okay? So just sacrifice and uh, develop a dedication towards your work, okay? So this will fill a energy, a motivation in you, okay? So never try to take motivation from others or any source, okay? Don't try to make yourself motivated from outside sources, okay? So make your thinking, your mindset so strong so that you can motivate at your own level, okay? So develop the self motivating capability within you, okay? Because this journey is very long. Civil services is a very long journey, and it requires a lot of patience and self motivation, okay? So you are the guys, okay? So you are the guys who will motivate the society later. So first of all, you have to become a self motivator, okay? So later people will take example from your life, okay? So later you will become the motivation in front of, you are going to become an example in the society. So develop a habit of self motivation within yourself, okay? Don't depend on the Sandeep Maheshwari and all that and others, okay? Just teach, take a message and become your own version, okay? So in this way you can become your own best version, okay? You are not a copy paste personality, okay? So this method is very well followed by me, that's why I became, right? So this is my message today to my students, right guys? So let's begin, okay? Some students have started, otherwise that ma'am is always going to speech, okay? So my dear students, I hope you will keep this thing in your life and try to develop this type of habit, okay? So now, dear students, here our today's lecture is in front of you. So first of all, you just see the life introduction of Bose. Okay. In the previous lecture, I have taken some different introduction, but here I am taking something different introduction so that you can develop your own thoughts and your own understanding. Is that clear to you? Right? Subhas Chandra Bose is considered the most influential freedom fighter with extraordinary leadership skills, okay? So here you can consider, okay? So extraordinary leadership skills, do you know leadership is a very unique value or the skill, right? If you can motivate your followers, right? That's why at every stage you need leadership. If you will become an IS, you will lead your team, you will lead that uh, staff of that district, right? and a charismatic orator. Charismatic orator means a speaker, some declamation, some declamatory. Okay, means your words, your tones must be filled with some bravery and leadership, and with such huge motivation that people became uh, so inspired, right, with you, and they just put their best in that work. Okay, so if you will do this, definitely you will become a success, right? And he was an Indian nationalist whose patriotism towards India has left a mark in the hearts of many Indians. Okay, so definitely, just like you are loving Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Shukdev, Ashfaqullah, and Chandrasekhar Azad, Ras Bihari Bose. Okay, so in the same way, you should love Subhas Chandra Bose too. Okay, so Subhas Chandra Bose was that charismatic personality, and he was a big speaker too. Okay, during my childhood or during my primary education schooling, I gave a speech on Subhas Bose, and Subhas Bose is a big inspiration for me because Subhas Chandra Bose um, cleared Indian Civil Services exam. Okay, and from here I came to know about the Indian Civil Services when I was in ninth class, right? And that's why I always love to teach Subhash Chandra Bose to my students. So try to take inspiration and motivation from these types of things, right? And develop your own version of your personality. Is that clear to you? In personality test, only this thing is tested by the UPSC board, right? And Subhas Chandra Bose, this is the life introduction in 1897, 23rd. This is the date of birth. Okay, so this is the happy birthday of Subhas Chandra Bose, and this is the happy birth year of and Katak, Orissa, right? Actually, Katak, Orissa is the part of Bengal province at that time, right? So Orissa, it was later um, Odisha was separated from Bengal. So at that time, when Subhas Chandra Bose was born, it was the part of Bengal province, right? And he died on 18th August 1945 in a hospital in Taiwan after suffering from the burn injuries sustained in a plane crash. Okay, so this types, although this is written in history, but this is also that death of Subhash Chandra Bose is a mystery, sorry, right? It's a mystery and no one can solve so far, right? So that's why where how he died, not died. So still this is a mystery, right? So we are not going on that point, guys. So here I'm just giving you a idea, right? And why he is known, it means contribution. And how he contribution, this is the biggest contribution made by Subhas Chandra Bose towards Indian freedom struggle. He also able he remained able to make a difference uh, in the Indian civil service, Indian freedom struggle, right? Towards Indian freedom struggle, right? So this is not Indian Foreign Services, it's Indian freedom struggle. Okay. Generally, I used to write uh, Indian freedom struggle as IFS, right? So here, he's famously known as he was founder. He established Azad Hind Fauj, and he also gave famous slogan. And Subhash Chandra Bose is also known for his famous slogans. First, तुम मुझे खून दो मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा. Jai Hind Nara. Jai Hind slogan is also given by Subhas Chandra Bose, right, guys? And Delhi Chalo Nara, right? Because when he mobilized the soldiers, when he formed Indian National Army, basically this Indian National Army was mobilized or organized to fight against British rule so that we can get independence. Okay, so the entire mobilization or entire formation of Azad Hind Fauj, the basic objective was to fight with Britishers and to get independence. Okay, but later they remain as failure, and that's why the slogan Delhi Chalo was given to the soldiers, because in Singapore he mobilized the Indian National Army. That's why Delhi Chalo, it means Delhi was at that time the capital of British India, right? So they wanted to make free Delhi from British rule. Okay, so the intention behind this slogan was this. And tum mujhe khoon do. Okay, give me your blood, I will give you freedom. Oh, right? So here, the meaning of this: if you will fight, okay, if you will make sacrifice towards your motherland, definitely you will get some positive results, right? Jai Hind. Jai Hind means hail Mother India, right? So this is the meaning. And he formed Azad. So here I am giving you just a abbreviation or briefing, right? So in very detail, we will cover in the upcoming slides. And he formed Azad Hind Fauj and made several contributions to India's freedom struggle, right? And he's also known for his militant approach, right? So many times, just like Napoleon was doing in the same way, as Napoleon did for their country, in the same way Subhash Chandra Bose also adopted the military approach. Okay, because here is a difference between Gandhi's approach and Subhas approach, right? Because Gandhi believed that through mass participation we can get, okay, but here Subhas Bose is the follower of this opinion that we should develop a military approach, okay, and everyone cannot fight, okay, and cannot face this British uh, government in order to get independence. That's why there is a need to develop militant approach. Militant approach means something military skills, some military must be developed in the country so that we can get independence, right? So that's why this militant approach, or this is also called radical approach, right? Because he was follower of socialism, okay, just like the Bolshevik party was done under the leadership of Lenin in 1917. So he was inspired by the Russian Revolution because the militant approach was adopted there. This is called radical, okay, that he used to gain independence and for his socialist policies, right? So these types of this is very important for him, right? So Subhas Bose is basically famous in Indian history for this is the biggest contribution, okay. So this was right, and Subhas and socialist policies and militant approach, excellent leadership, the father of various historical slogan, just like Gandhi ji gave do or die slogan, the same way Subhas Bose and Bal Gangadhar Tilak also, okay, that independence is my birthright, freedom is my birthright, okay, Swaraj is my birthright. It's all right, guys. I think you are understanding, okay. So now here we are going to cover early life and education. Okay. Although this is not much needed, but I think you must try to know uh, our freedom fighters. Okay. So Netaji Subhas, basically he was known as, still known as, sorry, he's known as Netaji, right? Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose. These are basic information we have given, right? So Prabhavati Datta Bose was his mother, and Janki Nath Bose was his father, and his father was a successful lawyer in Cuttack, right, and received a title of Rai Bahadur. This is title, okay. If you have gone through the constitution in fundamental rights under part 3rd of Indian constitution, under article 18, abolition of title is mentioned, okay. So Rai Bahadur, okay, Diwan. So abolition of titles, right? Because these titles were discriminatory, okay, towards the masses, okay. So in order to establish equality, that's why the abolition of titles are abolished, right? And the abolition of titles is provisioned in the Indian Constitution, okay. And basically, some students are analyzing themselves that, ma'am, Bharat Ratna, Padma Shri, Padma Vibhushan, okay. Basically, these are not titles, right? These are awards, right? Bharat Ratna, these are awards, okay, which are provided to those who made some excellence in some excellent work towards humanity. Or in any field, like in education, in culture, in sports, right? So in this way, okay. So that's why this award was granted to any Indian. Okay, so these are the highest civilian awards, right? Bharat Ratan is the um, highest civilian award which are awarded to the citizens for the excellent work towards humanity, education, right? So this was the basic purpose. So here there is a lot of difference between title and awards, right? And from where Subhash Chandra Bose did his schooling? So he did his schooling from Protestant European School and presently Stewart High School in Cuttack, just like his siblings, right? Sharath Chandra Bose was his brother, okay, younger brother, elder brother, right? And so here, while studying in school, he was influenced by the teachings of Swami Vivekanand, Ramakrishna, after reading their works at the age of 16, right? So these are those personalities, Swami Vivekanand, Ramakrishna, Paramhans, right? So these were those national personality. No one can raise question over their teachings, over their preachings, etc. Okay, so definitely, if you are an educated person and if you are impartial in your thinking, definitely you will be influenced by the teachings of Swami Vivekanand, right? And by Gandhi, right? So there are a lot of persons, historical personalities, definitely. Okay, so in order, instead of focusing on their teachings, we can also try to um, work on the implementation, okay. So we should also adopt their standards too in our life, okay. While living our life, we should also adopt their standards. What type of standards, okay. So is there any example in front of you that Swami Vivekananda used to wear um, very branded clothes and all that? No. Clothes, face, makeup are never branded. It is your thoughts, it is your values. These are your standards which make you worth, right? So always try to make your thoughts, your arguments high, right? Because in the intellectual society, you will be recognized um, with your thoughts, with your thinking, your, okay. So that is another thing. So here, this is my purpose, right? And then uh, at the age of 16, this is very interesting point, dear students. And what is the interesting point which I like the most, and you will be definitely, you will also like us. uh, he was sent by his parents to the University of Cambridge in England to prepare for the Indian civil services, right? In 1919, basically. Okay, so in 1919, he was sent to England. Means at that time there was coaching. University of Cambridge worked as a coaching institute, right? and there Subhas Bose was sent to prepare for the Indian civil services, and in 1920 he cleared Indian civil services, and he stood at fourth rank in entire England, right? He got fourth rank, right? But in April 1921, okay, he resigned. Why he resigned? Basically, one interesting event is there. When Subhas Chandra Bose shows his interest and his concern about uh, the domination of Indian motherland under the domination of British rule, he was very concerned, and generally he used to express his concern in front of his father. Okay, that these Britishers are this, that, and I wanted to get rid of these, and I wanted to make free my motherland, my mother country from this foreign rule, right? And I wanted to start some military expedition so that we can get independence. Okay, so his father was like a journalist, means having journal understanding person, and he always challenged Subhash Chandra Bose that if you really wanted to serve your motherland, then show me and clear the civil services. Means he was challenged by his father. Okay, then he decided definitely I will do it. Okay, and in 1919 he went to University of Cambridge, and within 1 year he qualified, and within 1 year he qualified the civil services exam, and then he completed the challenge, and he told his father that, Dad, I have completed your dream and now I'm resigning. And thereafter he resigned from the, but you will not do this, okay? There is no need to resign, okay? He, so in 1921, he resigned because he was not interested, because one thing a bureaucracy has to work according to the government orders, according to the politicians ministers orders, highest command in India, you know this very well. Okay, so he just he did not wanted to become a puppet under the in the of the hands of British, and he could not digest this domination. That's why he resigned, okay? Because he was a great advocate of freedom, independence, rights, and equality, right? Because he was influenced by some humanity values, right? So in this way, this was the entire scene. Is that clear to you? Okay, guys. So now here I will explain some correlation, some cooperation with Indian National Congress. Right, guys? So after resigning from Indian Civil Services, he joined non-cooperation movement. Okay, and which was started by Gandhi, who made INC as a powerful non-violent organization. This is very true. This is very true, right? So, my dear students, so here, after resigning from the Indian Civil Services, he joined non-cooperation movement, right? And during this moment, what type of uh, contribution was made by? Okay, so he was advised by Gandhiji to work with C.R. Das, means Chittaranjan Das, who later formed Swaraj Party, who became his political guru. Okay, so C.R. Das was, so here one mark question. If you are appearing in non-civil services exams too, then you can understand. Okay, C.R. Das was his political guru. And do you know who was the political guru of Gandhiji? Political guru, political teacher are the same thing, right? Teacher or guru are the same thing, right? So, and Gopal Krishna Gokhale is political teacher of Gandhiji, right? So here he became a youth educator, okay, and commandant of the Bengal province volunteers, right? And from here he got elected as president of Bengal Congress province president, and later in 1938 he became president. Okay, so this was the starting of his political career, his national career. And he also started newspaper Swaraj. Okay, so Subhas Bose was founder of a newspaper called, okay, so Bose was founder of Swaraj newspaper. And in 27, uh, actually when the non-cooperation movement was withdrawn, he was arrested and he was released in 1927. Okay, so when he was released from the jail, Bose became general secretary of the Congress party and worked with Nehru for independence. Basically, Nehru and Subhas Bose were follower of socialism. Okay, is that clear to you? Okay, so that's why on this platform they became friends. Okay, is that clear to you guys? Huh? Are you getting better understanding? I don't know. And this was the political height of Bose. Actually, at that time, to be elected as president of Indian National Congress, it was a big achievement. It was a big prestige. Is that clear to you? Right? So in 1938, okay, so definitely those students who have covered their uh, previous lectures thoroughly, then definitely they will know, okay, that Bose has been elected president how many times? 2 times. So he was elected president twicely. First in 1938 and the very next. Okay. So here Haripura session, here Tripura session. Tripuri, right? So Tripuri is a village in Jabalpur, MP, Madhya Pradesh, right? So here in 38, he was elected president of International Congress and formed a national planning committee, right? So here he wanted to formulate a policy of industrialization. So here national planning committee. Okay, so here you can understand he just being a president of Indian National Congress, he wanted to implement the socialist viewpoints, the socialistic ideologies, right? And there is no harmony with Gandhian economic thought, right? Because Gandhi was of the opinion of Charkha system, self-reliance India, self-dependency, but there was notion of cottage industries benefiting from use of country's own resources. So here self-sufficiency, concept of self-sufficiency, although these are very important because uh, cottage, the development of cottage industry is very important and it's very healthy for the development of economy for any country, right? China is, if rising China, if China became so developing and so developed just because of the these cottage industries, okay? So at every house there is industries, every house person, mostly persons were there, business persons, right? And that's why, so they are benefiting from the use of countries own resources, okay? So self sufficiency, cottage industries, charkha, so all these thinking, these were the economic thoughts of Gandhi. But here Gandhiji was against the heavy industries. Why? Because heavy industries requires a lot of techniques and technical education, but Indian masses are lack of that technical knowledge. The technology could not develop, and that's why it created unemployment, right? That's why he was against heavy industrialization, right? So here this was the basic difference between the economic policies, okay? Although both are right at their own place, right? So we can't here we will not put any question over anything thinking, right? So both persons are right at their viewpoints. And Bose's vindication came in 1939 when he defeated a Gandhian rival for re-election, right? Again in 1939, right? Who was defeated? Patabi Sitaramaiah. Okay, so when in 1939 Tripuri session was going and there was an election for the president in 1930 for the 1939 session, and basically Gandhi did not want Bose to become again the president of Congress, and that's why he suggested Nehru to contest election against Bose, but he denied, and he suggested the name of another person, and he also denied. And at last Gandhiji gave a name of Patabi Sitaramaiah, but in the voting system, when vote was put, then Bose became right, he became right, and that's why Bose defeated uh, in this election, and second time, continuously second time, he became the president of Indian National Congress, right? And the rebel president felt bound to resign, but later some Tripoli crisis was there, okay? Some problems was there because when in 1939 Subhas Bose was elected as president, then due to his ill health, he could not attend the All India Congress Working Committee meeting at Wardha. Okay, and Bose sent telegram to Patel and Gandhi that you should postpone and requested that please postpone the meeting because I am not well by health. But this thing has been taken otherwise, and they blamed Bose for becoming authoritative, and they resigned, including Patel, 11 members. Okay, so 11 members, 12 members, including Patel, resigned from the working committee, and it created a crisis. That's why Bose was became very on the moral ground. Okay, and he was also blamed. So there was some other. Both have started blaming to each other. You are doing this. We are doing this. So in this way, so what was the result? So finally, Subhas Bose resigned because of the lack of Gandhi's support. Although Nehru tried his best to make reconciliation, but all remained in vain. And finally, Subhas Chandra Bose has to resign. And after the resignation, he made his own left-wing political party, that is Forward Bloc, right? We have covered in the previous lectures too, but here I have also given some uh, reference, okay, so that you can recall the things, right? So I have put. So student, now we have covered Subhash Chandra Bose and how he developed his political career with Indian National Congress, and what was why he was bound and was compelled to resign from the Indian National Congress platform, and later he was also debarred from Congress just because of the formation of this forward bloc, okay, because there were ideological differences between. Right, guys? And in 1939, after resigning from the post of president of INC, he formed his own political party that is called Forward Bloc, right? And the name of the magazine or the journal is the same name, Forward Bloc, right? In the previous lecture, we have covered. And now All India Forward Bloc was a left-wing nationalist political party in India. Left-wing nationalist. Left-wing means uh, having followers of radical ideology, followers of some radical thoughts, who believe in some aggressive measures must be taken against some other. If any aggressive person is in front of you, then you should also adopt aggression. Okay, so there you can't use non-violence, non-cooperation, because they don't have any meaning for these values, right? So some radical thinking means some super fast thinking they were having. This is called left wing. And what is right wing? Right wing, who were the followers of the peaceful constitutional measures, who believe in the peaceful measures, constitutional measures, prayer, petition, protest. Okay, so this is, and here it emerged as a faction with the Indian National Congress. Okay, and he was well known for his leftist views in Congress. Okay, so here you can understand leftist. So leftist to somehow left wing, you can understand who promoted or supported violence too. Okay, so they supported violence. So it is part of radical, right? Extremists, right? Supported violence. That's why Gandhiji was totally against Bose. Is that clear to you guys? And here you can read, can understand the objective. The objective of Forward Bloc was to bring all radical elements of Congress party so that he could spread meaning of complete independence. Okay, so the main objective, so there is no need to write in your answer if UPSC is asking in mains or in any essay that the main objective was to bring, or no, their main objective was complete independence through radical elements. Okay, and that's why application of principle of equality and social justice. Okay, so these were the equality and social justice were their principles. Is that, guys, right? Now the our main topic. Okay, so Subhash Chandra Bose and Indian National Army, or the Azad Hind Force, right? So the formation of Azad Hind Force by Subhash Chandra Bose is a very important development in the freedom struggle, right? And this is a very important information or very important historical event during Second World War. Okay, and this is also Indian response towards British India for Second World War. Okay, so this happened during Second World War, right, guys? And here, that's why this was formed by Subhash Chandra Bose, and the formation and activities of Azad Hind Force, also known as, right? So these are the interchangeable name. Okay, you can use International Army as well as Azad Hind Force, right? Because the main objective, Azad, freedom, Hind, India, for. Okay, so this is a particular army for India which are focused for the independence, complete independence for India. Is that clear to you guys, right? So Ras Bihari Bose, you know, he was Indian revolutionary, right? He escaped from India, okay, and had been living in Japan for many years, right? And he set up, basically here I am just giving you some background. So Ras Bihari was, so now you just forget about each and everything Subhas Bose, right? So here Ras Bihari Bose, definitely in the revolutionary phase of Indian freedom struggle, I must told you about Ras Bihari Bose and about his revolutionary activities. Okay, each and everything I will not explain again and again and again. Okay, so here you just need to see, to watch the revolutionary phase for Indian freedom struggle, right? So definitely you will get that class video and you can complete that thing, right? Okay, right? So Ras Bihari Bose, okay, he was indulged in revolutionary activities. Okay, revolutionary activities means revolutionary phase of Indian freedom struggle. Basically, who they used to establish some secret organization, and then they give training. They believe in bullet and bomb, and their main target to get independence were the murders and assassination of British officials, right? So this was their target. So their methodologies were very, very extreme, radical, very revolutionary activities, right? So they believe in the murders and assassination activities of Indian, of British government officials, right? So, uh, from his revolutionary activities, once he tried to escape from India and he hid himself in Japan, right? And Japan is a very important country during Second World War. Basically, Japan and England were at opposite group in the Second World War, right? And Ras Bihari Bose was in Japan. And he set up Indian Independence League with support of Indians living in countries of Southeast Asia. Is that clear to you? So here Ras Bihari Bose has started the mobilization of some Indian Independence League. Okay, you know, outside of India, if any Indian is living or staying, definitely they were indulged in some independence activities so that we can get, okay, something positive response. Okay, that's why they always work in the mobilization of Indians. Okay, so when Ras Bihari Bose went to Japan, and Japan basically was a safe country. Why? Because in Japan, no British can enter without permission of, okay, and Japan and England were the anti to each other, okay, because England was allied and Japan was Axis, means Japan was with Germany, right? At that time, basically during Second World War, Japan was emerging as an imperialist country, okay? And Japan was moving towards Southeast Asian countries, and he was controlling or dominating the colonies of English, right, of England one by one, okay? So he was there, just Japan was just about to reach to India, just to dominate. Okay, so that's why. But Japan was even not liked by Indians. Okay, because if England is same imperialist country, so Japan is same. Okay, so for Indians, Japan as well as England both were not suitable country. Okay, because they were not in the definition of a democratic country. Okay, but some revolutionary, okay, they like Japan. Okay, because they can use Japanese against British. So here, Japan was used as a tool for Indian independence against British. Okay, because in this situation, Japan can support Indians. Okay, so it was the support of Japan at that time, which was taken as an advantage by some Indian revolutionary fighters, and they took the advantage of this attitude of Japan towards English, right? So this is the all result of the formation behind Azad Hind Force, right? Next. So here, first of all, you just understood the scenario of India, Japan, and British in the Second World War. Okay, so Japan was totally anti to British. Okay, and Japan defeated the British armies in the Second World War. Okay, so in the Second World War, Japan defeated British army and occupied almost all the countries of Southeast Asia. Okay, so in Southeast Asia, just like India was under the domination of British on the same way like Singapore, Malaya, Cambodia, many countries were under the domination of British at that time. Okay, so when Japan defeated, so British and have occupied almost all countries. Okay, and he was just about to reach. Okay, and the League formed the Indian National Army from among the Indian prisoners of war. How? Because when Japan, देखो, just try to understand. This is Japan. This is England. Okay, so versus, right? So Japanese army having Japanese, English army having Indians, right? So what happened when Japan defeated English? So soldiers have been captured by Japanese, na? Okay, so these soldiers who were captured by Japan, they were Indians, okay, and many Indians were always already living in Japan, right? So how? So in that, when Japan captured the British soldiers, and British soldiers by base were Indians, okay, because Indians were fighting outside India or on foreign land for English, right? But they were defeated, and if they were defeated, this thing you know very well, that defeated countries soldiers having as prisoners of war, POW, prisoners of war, and they were captured, right? And uh, among the Indian prisoners of war with the aim of liberating India from the British rule. Okay, so here when the prisoners of war were captured by Japan, in those prisoners of war, a General Mohan Singh was also there. Okay, so Ras Bihari Bose rules and General Mohan Singh, who had been an officer in British Indian Army. Okay, but when they were captured, so here British General Mohan Singh was the officer in British Indian Army, and he played an important role in organizing this army, right? So those Indian soldiers who were captured by Japan. Okay, so here Mohan Singh set a setting and talked and mobilized these soldiers against Britishers, right? So this was the entire scene. Okay, so in this way you have to make some better understanding, right? So this was the entire scene. Is that clear to you, right? So here now we are moving for the next, right? And here Subhas Chandra Bose also escaped from India in 1941, right? And he gone to Germany to work for India's independence, right? So at one place Ras Bihari Bose and Anand Mohan Bose, Japan, right? So here Subhas Chandra Bose. Why Subhas Chandra Bose went to Germany? Because Germany was anti-British country, okay, and Germany can help some how to India. Okay, so that's why he went to Germany and Japan. Both countries were anti at that time during Second World War. Okay, so Bose reached to Germany for the help in 1941, right? And he there he met to Hitler also and other Hitler, Mussolini, other authoritative leaders. Okay, but here the objective or the main target of Bose is not to become India authoritative and there. He was not the follower. He went just there to help, to get help against British. Okay, because Japan and Germany were those only countries who can help India at that time because these countries were anti-British. That's why. Is that clear to you guys? Yes, guys. Right? So in 1943, after talking with some German officials, he came to Singapore to lead the Indian Independence League. Okay, so this Indian Independence League, right, was mobilized by Ras Bihari Bose, right? So he was also Bose. Subhash. They were not brothers. They're not cousins. They're not siblings. They were Indians and working for India. So, and he rebuilt the Indian National Army to make it an effective instrument, right? So, in detail, we will do it. So, here I'm just giving some briefing, okay? So that one by one, you can make a better understanding, right? And Azad Hind Force comprised of 45,000 soldiers, among who were Indian prisoners of war, as well as Indians who were settled in various countries of Southeast Asia. So, Subhash Chandra Bose, when came to Singapore, he tried to mobilize all Indian, including prisoners of war, okay, who were fighting uh, with the British within British Army against Japan, right? So here Subhash Chandra Bose tried to mobilize all those Indians who settled in various countries of Southeast Asia, okay, and including Indian prisoners of war. Okay, so this was the main source of mobilizing. Okay, so from here they got army personnel, right? So this was the main target. Next. So here on 21st October 1943, Subhas Bose was now, okay. So this Netaji, the name Netaji was given by the Indian National Azad Hind Fauj itself, right? and he proclaimed the formation of provisional government of independent India, Azad Hind, in Singapore, right? So he proclaimed, he gave a slogan that now we are having an independent India, and this is the means something Indian Army rule you can consider. Is that clear to you, right? So then from Singapore, Gandhiji went to Andaman. Okay, so which had been occupied by Japanese and hoisted there the flag of India, right? So in this way, he also got the help from Japan too, right? And in the early 1944, 3 units of Azad Hind Force took part in attack on northeastern parts of India to oust the British from India, right? So in this way, Azad Hind Force was stood, and in this way the Azad Hind Force International Army attacked from northeastern parts. Okay, you can understand northeast part of India, right? So this is the northeast part of India, right? So this is the northeast part of India, and Andaman Nicobar, you know this very well. Okay, so Singapore is something here, right? So through ship they reached to, through Bay of Bengal they reached to northeast parts, right? About 45,000 soldiers, means it was a complete army. Okay, so here Shah Nawaz Khan, and Shah Nawaz Khan basically he was a prominent officer of Azad Hind Force, right? So he have give some view argument that the soldiers who had entered in India laid themselves flat on the ground and passionately kissed the sacred soil of their motherlands, right? So this was the love for the motherland. Okay, so first of all they show the love for motherland. Okay, first time when Azad Hind Force entered into India, they laid flat. Okay, Sashtang Dandavat Pranam, and they loved. Okay, their soil. Okay, the motherland, right? And although the attempt to liberate India by the remain failed, so that is another part, but this attempt was made. Okay, this type of things have been done. This is very important. Okay, if you will remain successful. Okay, so remain failure. Okay, that is another part, but this is not good thing that don't even attempt. Okay, so do practice, do try. So in this way, so here I have put this picture, right guys? Subhash Chandra Bose, in this way this army was prepared, and then okay gave a slogan, तुम मुझे खून दो मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा. Okay, so this was the inspection basically. This was the inspection by right. As I have told you previously that Indian mostly nationalist movement did not view Japanese government as a friend of India. Why? Because they didn't keep Japan in the definition of democracy. Okay, because Japan was along with Germany, right? And they both were imperialistic country, right? And it sympathized were with the people of those countries which had fallen victims to Japan's aggression. Okay, so in the eyes of these internationalists, uh, were that they are the aggressive countries and they were just making victims the people of other countries. Okay, so they were not doing anything for the humanity. Okay, so they were just fighting for gaining powers and reason territories, so they were just occupying. Okay, so that's why this type of image, right? So this is another perspective. But Netaji believed that with the help of Azad Hind force supported by Japan, a revolt inside India and the British rule will over, right? But this was the thinking level of, right? Is that clear to you? And so here, Azad Hind Force. So Azad Hind Force when was mobilized by Bose and the slogan was given Delhi Chalo, right? And the salutation Jai Hind was a source of inspiration to Indians inside and outside the country. Means the training was done so well, right? And Netaji rallied together the Indians of all religions and reasons living in Southeast Asia. He didn't support any particular community, right? So a communal harmony was promoted by Netaji during this, right? So communal harmony. Because why he promoted communal harmony? Okay, because this was very necessary. It was very mandatory according to those situations, right? All regions and religions who were living in Southeast Asia. That's why it became a big success to a large extent too, right? So here I'm just giving a role of both in India's freedom struggle for independence, and later we'll try to cover the another part that how Subhash Chandra Bose led the second INA phase, right? So in this way we'll try to cover, right guys? So first of all, or you can understand this in a as characteristics of Subhash Bose, right? Political leadership. Definitely, he played a very active role in India's political life. Okay, in 30s, he jailed in 1921 to 22 because of his political activities, because he participated in non-cooperation movement. Okay, because when he resigned in 1921, Britishers became very aware that this guy can do something uh, against, and this person can become a threat for British rule. Okay, that's why uh, Britishers were observing him. Okay, and they just wanted to control. Okay, so that's why he was jailed just because of the participating in non-cooperation movement. Is that clear to you guys, right? And immediately upon his release, he organized the All Bengal Young Men's Conference. Okay, this is another important contribution made by Subhash Chandra Bose, right? This was the political leadership. Is that clear to you? And he was elected president of Indian National Congress, and he established separate political party, right? Forward bloc and continued, right? So during his political career, and this was most important figure having a national political goal. You know, he was completely free from self-centered interests, right? And in 30, Bose formulated the broad strategic to throw off yoke of British imperialism in his home, right, in Asia. So he wanted to establish India as a rightful leader, right, uh, in Asia, right? So he just wanted to make free from that British rule, British imperialism, right? So this was the main thing. That's why he has started working with other nations too, right? So before and during the Second World War, Bose worked tirelessly to secure German and Japanese support, right? As his beloved homeland for foreign rule, right? So he worked with the other nations too, and Azad Hind government, right? This thing recently we have explained Japanese monetary, political, diplomatic, and military assistance, right? So just because of the cooperation of Germany, so here Azad Hind was, right? So I think this thing was done by Subhash Chandra Bose, and it remained a very beneficial advantageous for Indians too. Why? Because here a friendly relation was maintained by Japanese. Because it may happen that Japan became too aggressive and can occupy India, because Japan have already defeated Britishers in many other Southeast Asian countries, right? So it may happen. It may happen that uh, from if India can become under the um, imperialistic tendency of Japan, okay? So just like Myanmar, Cambodia, and other, right, was happening with them, right? So this was the way. So it created a positive impression, right? And if Germans or Japanese were supporting India, it means they were not in interested. That's why they supported Indians, right? If Indians became so uh, if they became united against British India, so they can make free India very soon. So this is my perspective. It may happen, okay? And this is international. In July 1943, this was that in Singapore, Japanese assistance with, right, reorganized and later led Indian National Army. Earlier it was in the hand of Anand Mohan, right? But some differences, some ideological differences with Anand Mohan. That's why he exit from the Indian National Army, and it was formed from Indian prisoners of war and plantation workers, right? From British Malaya, Singapore, and other parts of, right? So from where they got the soldiers, this thing you can know, from here they know. That's why, right? Mass mobilization. How Subhash Chandra Bose played a very important role in mass mobilization, and how he roused the feelings of independence and patriotic within that masses, from where he gets such a huge manpower, right? and how he utilized India's greatest resources just to fight against British rule. So this was the main question, right? So how he motivated that huge manpower, which was organized in terms of army, right? So how he ensured the actively participation in the fight for freedom, right? So this was the and why he formed provincial government of Azad Hind, and he appealed directly for total mobilization for the mass of Indians. So this is not an easy thing, right? The mobilization of various countries, Indians, this is not a easy thing. With a low mentality or with a loose mentality, you can't do such a great job, right? So we have to salute to Bose for this amazing task, uh, right? So this was the contribution. That's why we are really, you know, we are totally uh, there. Uh, means very obliged, right? So these types of tasks are not very easy. Is that clear to you? And one more important thing was done by Subhash Chandra Bose. He worked on women mobilization, right? So Bose paid attention towards every reason, towards every relation, and to the gender as well, right? So he called on both men and women. Okay, he he didn't deny the role of women in the freedom struggle because he uh, considered it very mandatory that if men are fighting, women should fight. This is their moral duty. This is their duty. And Bose believed that women were equals to men and should therefore be likewise prepared to fight and sacrifice. Okay, so they can also make sacrifice for India's liberation, right? And in 1920s, in 1930s, that's why he was campaigning, and he did a great job in the mobilization of women. Okay, so he did a great job just to ensure the active participation of women in the Indian freedom struggle, right? So this is very important contribution made by Subhash Chandra Bose, right? So this is the similarity between Gandhi and Subhash, you can quote, right? So this is the only similarity that if Gandhiji also supported women participation for the freedom struggle, then Subhash Chandra Bose also, right, supported. So when he returned to Asia in 1943, means from Germany to when he came to Singapore in 1943, he called on women to serve as soldiers in Indian National Army, and he reorganized also, right? And he organized the entire army on the battalions, on the groups like Patel group, Jhansi group. That's why he also created a Jhansi regiment, okay? And it was formed, right? And in this army, various women participated, right? Youth leadership, this is also very biggest contribution, right? So youth leadership. Bose was deeply committed to youth movement, right? And by nature idealistic because he know the values, the standards of youth, that youth are very idealistic and they can work without any rest, and they were having with new ideas. That's why in the civil services young are recruited in navy, in air force, you know, for uh, NDA, National Defense Academy. So that's why the younger, the much younger, 16, 17, that's why 21, okay? Just like the minimum age for civil services is 21, right? And that's why, uh, because they were having new ideas, that's why youngest are promoted, supported for the recruitments. Bose worked with new youth leagues since from the 1920s, and he motivated youth to a lot for the India's liberation. That's why he make them to do efforts towards India's liberation and always ready to make sacrifices for the liberation of motherland. So in this way, he spreaded a political consciousness, a nationalist consciousness towards uh, Indian people for the India's liberation. So this is not a small contribution. So Subhash Chandra Bose was a very big figure, is very great personality, right? And we are really very thankful to God having such that we are blessed with such uh, freedom fighters, right? So this is very important. So guys, so here I'm just telling you about the background of INA. So what happened, how the INA was formed, how the Indian National Army came into existence. So what was the reason behind this? So there was Second World War, you know this very well, okay? Japan invaded Southeast Asia and Japan was anti-British. Japan was a Axis power. Okay, so in the Second World War, Japan was supporting Germany and having imperialistic and aggressive policies. And both countries were anti-British. Okay, so दुश्मन का दुश्मन दोस्त होता है. So British were our enemy, and the enemy of our enemy, Germany or Japan. That's why some Indians, Subhas Bose like person, treated Germany and Japan as their friends and advantage as opportunity. Is that clear to you? Right? So what happened? So Japan was fighting against British, against England in the Second World War. And at the time 70,000 troops, means soldiers, were stationed in the region, means Southeast Asia, right? Most of them along the Malayan coast. And Japan conducted a lightning campaign which culminated in the fall of Malayan Peninsula and Singapore in 1942. And all these soldiers were captured as a prisoners of war by Japan, right? And in the Singapore campaign, 45,000 Indian prisoners of war were captured, right? In this way, okay? And it was from these prisoners of war that the Japanese decided to create an auxiliary army which would fight against the British, right? And this was planned basically uh, injected by Japanese, but it was later some Indians uh, joined hands with Japan and mobilized the international army, right? So the first INA was formed under the leadership of Mohan Singh. Who was Mohan Singh? Right? He was a former officer of British Indian Army, captured during the Malaya campaign. Okay, when in the Malaya region the army was stationed by Britishers, Anand Mohan Singh was the army officer, right? Means that army was under the leadership of Mohan Singh, right? But in Malaya campaigning, Japan captured this entire army, including Mohan Singh, right? And conditions in the prisoner of war camps, as well as resentment against the British in general. So many prisoners of war volunteers joined the Indian army, right? So that's why he took help of Japan to get independent from Britishers. Is that clear to you? So this is all about. And the initiative received support from the Japanese army, Imperial Japanese army, from the ethnic Indian population, right? Although after some time, what happened in 1941, this thing was done. Means INA was mobilized. But after some time, so what happened? Some disagreements emerged. Basically, Mohan Singh and some Japanese army command, right? So, what was that issue? Basically, disagreement. Okay, earlier they were having same ideologies, but after some time, it may happen. It's very natural that it's not necessary that your thoughts, if you are uh, indulging, if you are connecting with someone, then the matching of thoughts are necessary. No. So there were some ideological differences and some disagreements, right? Regarding the, and what was the issue? It was the issue of the autonomy of Indian National Army, right? So here, what was the disagreement? So here, Mohan Singh wanted the complete autonomy of Indian National Army. That we are the sole owner, we are the sole leader of this army, and there is nothing for Japanese in this army. Okay, but Japanese wanted the Indian National Army under their domination. So this was that disagreement, right? On which Mohan Singh was discarded from the army's leadership, right? And that's why it led to the disbandment of the first INA in December 1942. In this way, the first international army was disbanded by the Japanese. Why? Because Japanese claimed that the soldiers which are in this army, we can use this army against Britishers under our dominations. These are not, we are the owners of this Indian National Army. So over this issue, what happened, guys? So over this issue, basically, right? The first INA was disbanded, right? So this is the background. Now, Subhash Chandra Bose. So this is Subhash Chandra Bose, under whose leadership the second INA was established, right? So that's why Subhash Chandra Bose, he uh, revived Indian National Army, right? And provided, right? So here the reason, Mohan Singh had angered Japanese army commandant through his actions, and that's why they relented to form a second Indian National Army, right? So Mohan Singh himself recommended that Bose for the leadership role, right? So here Mohan Singh himself recommended that Subhash Chandra Bose. Okay, so in this way Bose got the opportunity and he did justice with that job, right? And his reputation as a committed nationalist was known to both Indian diaspora of Southeast, because till 1942 Bose was not Indian, but he emerged as hero of Asia. He was known for his commitments towards, he was known for the love and the commitment. Indian diaspora means the Indian population who was settled in Southeast Asia, right? And the Imperial Japanese army also know the potential of Subhash Chandra Bose, right? The activities of Bose in India had forced the British authorities to imprison him. Okay, so again, Bose was captured, means eyewitness, right? So he was basically detained, right? So he was detained because directly he was doing nothing. In India, he was doing nothing, right? So keeping eyes because he was making close relations with Germany and Japan. That's why Bose was detained. Detained means नजरबंदी, like घर में ही, right, उनको जो है, right, so in this way the activities of Bose, because the work which, so but what happened, so when authorities to imprison him, uh, but he escaped and reached Berlin. Berlin is the capital of Germany. Okay, somehow he managed to escape and he reached to Germany in 1941, right? And in this way, he met to Hitler and other authorities, and there he made a plan. And that's why, after getting help from Germany, and Germany called it to Japan that you should support, and with the support of Japan, here Subhash Chandra Bose became very successful in mobilizing the Azad Hind Force, right? So here Subhash Chandra Bose when took the command of Azad Hind Force. Okay, so in 1942, uh, he went to Singapore, right? And he there mobilized Azad Hind Force, and there was a swell of volunteers looking to join the INA. Means people were even ready to sacrifice their life for the joining of International Army, and the name Azad Hind Force was given by Subhash Chandra Bose, and Bose was agreed for INA to remain subordinate to the Japanese army. So here Subhash Chandra Bose agreed that INA remain subordinate, okay, because this was that issue on which Anand Mohan remained very, not very clear, right? That's why he saw it as necessary sacrifice towards the fulfillment of, right? That's why they just wanted to free India from British Empire, right? So it does not matter that INA is under the subordination of Japanese, okay? Because this is good thing, right? Because Japanese were helping, and if they have their condition and the army was mobilized on the foreign soil, so it does not matter, but they will fight against Britishers now, right? As Japan was fighting. So here Gandhiji criticized Bose that you joint hand with imperialistic, which are more dangerous than the British. Okay, because at that time Japanese and Germany were considering as very aggressive and very uh, you know, imperialistic country, non-democratic country, and you are joining hands with those countries, it means you are not a good person. So this was the thinking, right? Right, guys? So how the Azad Hind Force do operations at that time, how he worked, that army worked, right? So a operation was made under the leadership of Japan, and this operation was given the name of U-Go, right? U-Go, right? So Azad Hind Fauj participated in this operation, and in 1944 Japanese campaign towards British India. It was basically a Japanese campaign, right? Under the Operation U-Go, and Azad Hind Fauj participated, right? So INA, so initial success during early phases of operations, right? But they were forced to withdraw during the Battle of Imphal because they attacked Azad Hind Fauj attacked through northeast part. We have made clear this thing. Northeastern region, right, guys? And the Battle of Imphal and Battle of Kohima, which were fought on April 4th, 1944. Okay, so in these battles, there were a disastrous defeat for the Japanese army at the hands of Britishers. So in these battles, what happened? British army defeated INA. Okay, because in the form of INA, right? So British army defeated. It was in the form of INA. It was basically a Japanese campaign. Is that clear to you guys? Right? It means the situations became opposite. Right? And here INA lost a substantial number of men and material in this retreat. Right? So here, so this is the consequence. Right? A number results of INA attack, right? And a number of units were disbanded or used to feed into new divisions of now declining Japanese army, right? So here, Japanese defeat in World War II, most of the members of INA were captured, right? And was himself eluded, captured, and was reported to have died in a plane crash near Taiwan in September 1945, right? That Subhash Chandra Bose died. So this announcement was basically right during Taiwan. So how and in this and how in 1945 basically how the Japan was controlled when USA dropped atom bombs over Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August, right? 1945. So in this way, Japan was defeated. Germany was defeated by by Allied powers. Okay, so Allied powers were supported by USA, right? Okay, and USA had broken the ego of Japan, right? But here we should say some thanks to Japan and Germany, right? Because they helped us just because to break down British in India. Okay, actually, I think there is this defeat we can say in terms of just because of lack of unity among Indians. If on the other hand, in India, some revolt or movement was conducted as well as INA programs operations, then in this way we can defeat them, right? So no support from Indians leaders, it remained a failure. So here in this way you can consider this thing. Is that clear to you guys, right? So at last here, dear students, we will cover the end of INA and INA trials. Red Fort trials 1946, right? So initially, initially I have told you about Ras Bihari Bose, right? So Ras Bihari Bose, you know, Ras Bihari Bose, who indulged in the revolutionary activities, but he left India and he was settled in Japan, was through hiding, you know, secretly he was living in Japan. That's why he tried to mobilize international, some army, you know, Indian Independence League he formed later it was help with the formation of international army later, you know, each and everything we have discussed already, right? So Ras Bihari Bose had died in Jan 1945 in Tokyo, right? And Subhas Bose also died in a plane crash in September 1945 near Taiwan, right? And Japan also defeated and the INA soldiers started falling into the hands of allies. Allies here means allies allied countries, you know, England, you know, France, Russia, US. Okay. And these were taken as prisoners of war and the court martial began as early as in 1943 because these were the prisoners of war. Okay, because all these soldiers were initially the part of British army, but later those soldiers revolted against the British themselves. That's why they were tried, right? And a court martial began as early in 1943. Okay, basically those trials were called as Red Fort trials. Okay, so means cases were filed over the soldiers after defeating in the Battle of Imphal and Battle of Kohima, right? In the northeastern region, right? So here this is very important. Although INA had around 43 recruits, right? And out of which many fled mixed with civilians, but 16,000 were captured, right? And they were stuck, means somehow they managed to escape, right? In order to avoid themselves, right? They were stuffed into the ships and sent to India via Rangoon. Okay, and various detention camps have been organized in, right? So these are those reasons. So this was right. Then how the officers of INA were taken to court martial at Red Fort of Delhi. Actually, at that time, in order to trial these, because they were called as Deshdrohi, right? Uh, Sedition Act, under the Sedition Act, right? So the court martial was established at Red Fort of Delhi, right? From November 45 to May 1946. That's why these Red Fort trials were considered in 1946. On the same time, Royal Indian Navy also revolted against, okay, so Royal Navy mutiny in the upcoming lecture I will, right? So around 10 courts martial were held. Martial courts, you know it very well. Okay, so army trials were basically, okay. Martial courts are for uh, armies, right? Only. And the first of these was the joint court martial of Colonel Prem Sehgal. So these some facts I have kept, right? And had been taken prisoners of war in Singapore, and they were charged of waging war against the king emperor, and they were charged with waging war against the king emperor, right? Means king emperor means British emperor. As well as murder and abatement of murder. Abatement, you know, means uksana, like uh, force someone, right? So this is So here, in the midst of conflict between Congress and the League, the government instituted a public trial of Azad Hind Fauj soldiers on the charges of treason, right? Means sedition, means they revolted against. They made the charge was not murder and abatement of murder. The charge was waging war against British Emperor, right? So here you know the punishment must be beyond capital punishment according to them, according to their mentality. Okay, so the trial only had to rouse people's patriotic emotions. Okay, although they were fighting, right? But when this action was taken by British government, it roused the patriotic emotions, right? And the exploits of INA led by Netaji stirred the whole nation, and the country was thrilled with excitement, right? And Congress engaged. Then here, Congress supported the INA soldiers, and they set up lawyers, including Jawaharlal Nehru, Tej Bahadur Sapru, Bhulabhai Desai, to defend the leaders on trial, right? That they will fight cases in the court for them, right? So this was the biggest patriotic um, patriotic actions by Congress leaders. Right? Means they came in the support of INA soldiers that in the red fort trials we will defend our brave soldiers. Okay, so they were celebrated by them. And INA leaders in the first instance were convicted, but later their sentences remitted and ultimately they were set free, right? Some INA officers were not released, for which there was a public resentment. Okay, so British government announced that first they were convicted, then they were remitted, means they were made uh, free from any sentence, means declaring themselves, means pardon was granted by Viceroy, remitted, declaring them free from punishment. Right? Demonstrations were organized, but some INA officers were not released, right? And in this way, for their release, demonstrations, protests in the country were organized. Sharath Chandra Bose, the brother of Subhash Chandra Bose, he mobilized the public sentiment in support of INA and made elaborate arrangements, right? And in this way, the celebration of anniversary, because this was that day on which Subhash Chandra Bose established the Azad Hind Fauj, right? On 21st October 1943. And the trial of INA officers in historic Red Fort became a tribute to the martial courage of Indians, right? So the place where they were tried, so this place, instead of their punishment place or a court for them, it became a tribute to the martial courage of Indians, and it became a symbol of our sense of total independence and a matter more than pride than of justice, right? So here, this the Red Fort trials became a matter of pride than of justice, means pride. So here you can understand, right? And in February 1946, a serious mutiny broke out in the Royal Indian Navy at Bombay, right? So this is also a very important event, right? And British troops were called to crush rebellions, and Indian soldiers refused to open fire at their, okay,
So these types of actions were taken, and the British Commander-in-Chief General warned the army, and Nehru declared our armed forces have every right to revolt against foreign ruler, right? So in this way, army, navy was supported. So this was just the, you can consider it was something about to finish British rule in India, about to end ending of British rule in India, right? And the government had no other way out than to think over the matter of releasing Shah Nawaz, right? Colonel Shah Nawaz was the army officer who was later released, army officer of INA. So INA trials was really very appreciable action, right? And Major G.S. Dillo, Captain Prem Sehgal trials were heroes of the hour. They were those, so Prem Sehgal, G.S. Dillo, right? So they were the real heroes of that moment, heroes of that hour, and they were released. And when they were released, the release of these trials, so the people could believe that it was a great victory for Indians, right? So the release of the INA leaders, INA soldiers were a great victory for Indians, and gradually the situation in Indian army tended to take a serious turn, and it ended a few days later owing to the efforts of Sardar Patel. Right, guys? Okay, so this is sufficient for you, right? So thank you so much. Right, guys? So this is more than sufficient for you. So we are meeting soon. Two lectures are left now, right? And in the next 2 minutes, 26 or 27, right? Thereafter, your entire history course finished, right? So thank you so much for being with me. Take care. Bye bye. Thank you.